Hey kiddos, let's continue our volume journey. So we have learned about counting cubes, we have learned about length times width times height, and we've also learned area times height. This is going to help with area times height. We are going to focus on layers today. We are going to look at layers based on length, layers based on width, and layers based on height. So let's get right into it with length. Okay, so we know length runs from left to right. So I can find my length here. I can find length here. And then of course I can find length back here. I know you guys are like, why are you showing me this? It's going to be very important when we get into more compound volume next week. So how long is this rectangular prism? Yes, you are right. It is 3 units long. I'm going to put 3 units. And I'm going to label that. So we have it's 3 units long. Now, what layer do we look for? So when we are doing layers based on length, we are going to look at the layer that we can see all of them. And there are quite a few different layers that we can see all of them. But in this case, we are going to look at the layer on the left or the right, because length runs from left to right. So we can see all of the unit cubes that are on the right of this rectangular prism. Now, if this was a different direction, we would probably see the ones on the left. Most of the time, you're going to see them on the right. Just that's how it's set up on most worksheets. So now we look for all of the unit cubes in this layer. So I'm going to just count the ones right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this layer has 8 cubic units. So that means we have 8 cubic units in the layer on the right. We have 8 cubic units on the layer in the middle, and you have 8 cubic units on the layer on the left. So the 3 represents the layers, the number of layers, and this 8 represents cubes per layer. And that is the 2 numbers we're going to work with to write our expression. So, number of layers times cubes in each layer, which equals 24. Now, I know some of you are like, well, Mr. Carmichael, that's not area. Yes, it is area. This right here is the area. And then the 3 would be considered height, because if I lock my iPad screen, which is not going to do anything, but if I was to turn my iPad now to the right-hand side, that would be the bottom of the base of my rectangular prism, and the height would be 3. Very hard to show while presenting. Now, let's move over to width. So let's find the width of this. Width is from front to back. It's going to be a keyword. So front to back, and front to back. So the width of this rectangular prism is 4, which is also going to be how wide it is. Now, width is from front to back. So what layer are we going to look for? We're going to look for the layer on the front, because as long as I've been a teacher, I've never been able to see the back of a rectangular prism. So when we look at the front of this rectangular prism, I'm going to color it in. We can now count those cubes. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this rectangular prism has 6 per layer. So we have 6 in the front layer, which means we have 6 in the back layer, and we will have 6 in each of the middle layers. So 6 represents cubes per layer. And the 4 represents layers. So, writing our expression, 4 times 6 equals 24 cubic units. Very good. Now, really quick, a quick review. Why did I not count this? So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why do we not count these? Correct, because this is the top of number 1. This is the top of number 2. This is the top of number 3. And then, of course, this is the side of number 3. And this is the side of number 6. So that's what we went over on Wednesday in a review yesterday. Now, height. Height is super simple to find. Height is from top to bottom. So top to bottom, top to bottom. Also, we say that because it's going to be a keyword. This is 2 units tall. Come back up here and put units. 2 units tall. And when we are doing layers based on height, we look at the top layer because that's the only layer that we can see. So when we color in the top layer, I already know you are all screaming out the answer because we know the volume of this is 24 and we have 2 layers. So that's easy to identify how many are in this top layer. Let's count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 cubes per layer. 2 layers. So our expression will be 2 layers times 12 in each layer gets us 24. So just another way to use, or another strategy to find volume. And I do show this because it's going to help us with next week's lesson when we have to use some division skills. So again, length is from left to right. So we look at the layer on the left or on the right. Width is from top to bottom. Width is from front to back. So we look at the front layer. Height is from top to bottom and we count the top layer. So I'm going to move on to practice with a problem set. So head on over to that video for some practice.